Yes people, Jacob here. You might know me as Eloquent. Today I'm going to show you how to recreate the bass from Joy Orbison's Flight FM. So let's get stuck in. This is what it sounds like. So we've got a sine wave, -1 octave, which just adds the pure tone of the harmonic, and then we've got a gritty undertone, which is -2 octaves, with a sawtooth wave, and together just gives that nice full frequency. Okay, we've got a distortion here, tube distortion, low pass filter, as well as an EQ here, cutting everything above 150 hertz. And the sub is pitching down 2 semitones on the master tune. That's how it's getting its pitch down. So I've got it on 2-bar here, and that is the same for all the basses. So the next bass is the sort of meat, the mid-range, the sort of as you can hear there, it's a Reese. So it's got a sawtooth wave. It's got 2 voices. You can get the same effects with 2 oscillators. It's just slightly more work. I like to have this oscillator free for when I'm adding other stuff in. So you can just go detune by 20 and have it like that. But I prefer to have that off and have it 2 voices. You go to global, bring the width all the way down to 0, and you can just do. So I like it around 20. And then we've got the asymmetric distortion, multiband, and this is where we start to bring in LFO1. LFO1 is modulating at an 8th dotted note, and that's going on the level and the drive and the low pass filter. So what this is doing, this is moving up. You can see this line here. It's coming in towards the end of the bar. And how I did that was, firstly, you can't, annoyingly, this is really strange, you can't drag LFO to another LFO like that. So I just did envelope, drag the envelope to the y-axis, then go into the matrix, and then you swap out for whichever LFO you want to modulate. So in this case, LFO3 is modulating LFO bus 1, and I want it maximum. You see how the bar shrinks there? And that's what gives it that sort of growing, gradual modulation. It's really useful. So definitely, it's in the newest update of Serum. So make sure you buy that. I use Serum every single time I produce. It's well worth the money. I've got a bit of chorus on here, give it some width, and then an EQ. I've taken out. You'll see later we add in some harmonics, so I just wanted to keep this sort of that tight knit range and cut the lows. So those together, nice and gritty. Then we've got the next layer, which is the Pluck. Now this is the mid-range, mid to high range of the sound. I've got this with just a sawtooth, 1 voice, and a sine wave. So this is -2, this is -3, but I've done it on the harmonic number 2. It's personal preference. I just found that was the best sort of harmonic that worked. Again, we've got the 8th dotted note on the level of both, envelope 1 on the volume as well. So as it sort of falls down, this starts to kick in, gives it that movement. Again, pitching down 2 semitones. And I've got this LFO3, which is modulating this upwards, as well as doing a comb filter. So if you can see that, sorry if my head's in the way. This is increasing the mix. Without it, it sounds a little bit flat. So that's increasing the resonance and cutoff as well. We've got tube distortion, we've got multiband compressor, and this is where I've got the 8th dotted note on the cutoff, as well as LFO3 reducing the filter's effect towards the end of the bar. So you hear the highs start to come in. It starts from the highs and comes back through the mid-range. And that just gives it that weird artifact effect that Joy has got in there. And then I've also got this modulating the filter here, as well as LFO3 taking out the lows. So it's bringing in the highs, taking out the lows, focusing on that mid-range. Sausage fattener on this, EQ. I didn't like this. Horrible. I just liked the high and this mid-range section. If you think about with sounds, you're trying to sort of match a puzzle with the EQ, so leaving room for each element and making sure that they're not overlapping with each other too much. It's okay to have a bit of overlapping. And then the other layer we've got is just a pure sine wave. And I've got this with bin 4 harmonic. Again, personal preference. I found that sort of worked the best. Pitching down 2 semitones. Same 8th dotted note modulation on the level. That's not really doing anything, apart from it's growing in drive towards the end. Multi-band filter again. And the LFO4, which is just a ramp downwards. So it's sort of like a pluck. And that's it for that. A bit of sausage fattener, EQ again. It just sort of adds that little central tone. And then the last layer is the noise. So I've got 2 panned hard left and hard right. You can use a stereo imager. I've just done it the old-fashioned way. It's just bright white noise, distortion, cut out the lows, boost the highs, multi-band, and then I've done automating the amount on erosion. Erosion's brilliant, only for Ableton users, and that just means that it's got that growing effect. So all together, it sounds like this. Now on the bus, I've got decapitator, just glues it all together. I've got thermal, which is, it's focusing on this mid-range. And I've also got high end as well, to give it that sort of grittiness that Joy Orbison has got in his. And then what I've done as well, I've put on the bus LFO tool, which is automating the 8th dotted note down. So you can modulate this point here, point Y, and that's really helpful for shaping the sound overall after it's been processed, just giving that tightness to it. Because as you hear in the original, it does, when you get to here, it gets to mostly just the rhythm. And then I've got another harmonic here later on, like the bass evolves and changes. So I've got that coming. And that's just a +7 on the sawtooth. Very similar, exactly the same as the other ones, just with the +7. I'm going to leave this project in the link below. It's included in this month's Patreon. It's going to have all the synths, all the drums. If you want to learn how to sort of reverse engineer, it's useful to be able to sort of see a sound and then tweak it, change it into your own. So yeah, I'll leave the project in the link down below. Yeah, we got this other bass here, which is another variation. Oh, come on! Hope you guys enjoyed that. If you want me to break down another sound from another song, drop it in the comments below. I'm going to start doing more of these. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you found it helpful. And yeah, drop a subscribe if you're interested. And as I said, the project will be linked down below in this month's Patreon. So big ups. See you all in a bit.